Ron DeSantis vetoed a bill that would have allowed more families to file medical malpractice wrongful death lawsuits. Families shut out by the current law in Florida could continue to share their stories, hoping for a chance at justice. As News Channel 8's Capitol Bureau reporter Mackenzie Laporte tells us, the push to revive the free kill bill is gaining some momentum.
The governor shot it down, but lawmakers are bringing it back. The so-called free kill bill will once again be up for consideration here at the State House. Under current law, if a patient dies from medical malpractice, their surviving family members can only sue if one, the patient was married, or the patient had a minor child under the age of 25. Those who do not fit that description cannot sue for wrongful death, even if the doctor was clearly negligent.
We have to talk about the goal of the bill. The goal of the bill was to hold physicians accountable when they committed malpractice, eventually leading to the death of a person, of a patient. There should be no difference in how you hold a person accountable for their negligence between a person like myself, who is married with children, and another person who is not married and doesn't have children.
This year in the Florida House, a bill looking to provide more fairness for families passed out of both chambers and was sent to the governor's desk. However, DeSantis vetoed it.
It would lead to higher costs for Floridians. It would lead to less access to care for Floridians, and it would make it harder for us to keep, recruit, and maintain physicians in the state of Florida.
DeSantis predicts the bill could lead to countless lawsuits and drive up health care costs. But House Speaker Danny Perez believes the bill will make a comeback.
Of course, the governor has, in his right, the power to veto this bill, and he chose to do so. I disagree with the veto, and we will be bringing that bill back next year for a continued conversation.
For now, this legislative fight is paused until lawmakers return to Tallahassee next year when the 2026 session begins. Here at the State House, Mackenzie Laporte, 8 on your side.
Well, this morning we're taking a look here at the bomb threat found on an Allegiant flight out of St. Pete Clearwater Airport this spring. The FBI is looking for the person now who they say wrote this message that was discovered on a flight bound for Cincinnati on April 25th. The crew says they saw that threat as they were taxiing from the gate. The flight was evacuated. No explosive device was found on board. If you know anything about this, you're asked to call the FBI at the number on your screen.
It is being called an embarrassment for the state. One of Florida's top universities is now left in limbo after the Board of Governors rejected its presidential pick. News Channel 8 Capitol Bureau reporter Mackenzie Laporte has details on a bill that lawmakers say might have helped avoid this historic rejection.
House Speaker Danny Perez is blaming this failure on a lack of transparency and explains that if the Senate hadn't killed the bill, this whole thing could have been prevented. For the first time ever, Florida's Board of Governors rejected presidential finalist Dr. Santa Ono.
The motion fails. First time that's really happened.
Ono was in the running to be the University of Florida's next president, but there was concerns about his previous support for diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives while leading the University of Michigan. The first of its kind rejection comes after House members passed a bill that aimed to make presidential searches open to the public.
8 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Sure, the bill passes.
However, the Senate never took up the bill, and the governor spoke out against it.
Republicans in the Florida House of Representatives are proposing legislation to undo this progress, to pave the way to re-wokeify the universities, to throw a lifeline to the political left.
Now, days after the Board of Governors struck down Dr. Ono, House Speaker Danny Perez says this all could have been avoided.
Here we are with a presidential candidate for a major university, flagship university for the state of Florida, in a very embarrassing moment for the entire state of Florida. Something that should have been avoided, could have been avoided. Our bill, the House's bill, would have avoided that.
Across the chamber, when asked his thoughts on the Board of Governors' rejection, Senate President Ben Albright says the Speaker's view is one way to look at it. However, adds that he believes the current system worked.
Regardless of different perspectives, does the system yield the best result? Some would argue yes, some would argue no. I would say, when was the last time a university president candidate was voted down?
The answer to that is never, and what's next for the University of Florida remains unknown. Dr. Ono was the one and only finalist, and now there's no runner-up. Here at the State House, Mackenzie Laporte, 8 on your side.
It came through the backyard fence and dragged their dog into the water. Good evening. I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, a Wesley Chapel family still can't believe what happened. As News Channel 8's Georgia MacArthur reports, a hungry alligator attacked their full-grown German Shepherd.
Zeus is a rescue dog, and this week he had to be rescued again, but this time from the jaws of an alligator. The family tells us they never thought something like this could happen until it did. Video shows this German Shepherd on a leash in his backyard with a gator lurking behind a fence. Little did his owners know that moment was a warning.
We have a doggy door, and Zeus usually will go in and out of it whenever he wants. We have it covered right now because of what happened.
Monday started like any other night. Zeus wandered out into the backyard, but this time an alligator was on the hunt.
All of a sudden, I couldn't hear him anymore. My dad came in frantic. I had never seen him like that because he's like a tough man. And he's like, the alligator just took Zeus.
Susan Al-Khatib and her family raced to the yard, flashlights in hand. They caught a glimpse of Zeus struggling to stay afloat with this gator clinging on.
The alligator had just let go of Zeus. And so then Zeus was in the middle of the pond. We started yelling at him to come swim towards us. When he got closer to us, he got tired. So we had to kind of go into the pond a little bit to get him.
While we were there interviewing Susan, a gator came creeping out of the water before slipping back in.
I have a 7-year-old sister, and I just think if she was standing at the fence or had walked up to the fence, would he have done the same thing to her?
Miraculously, Zeus survived the attack, but has a fractured, displaced jaw and multiple puncture wounds around his neck.
Honestly, I can't believe he's alive.
And the family tells us a gator trapper has been out to try and catch the gator, but has been unsuccessful. Zeus is recovering after multiple surgeries. The family has started a GoFundMe to help with the expensive vet bills. Reporting in Wesley Chapel, I'm Georgia MacArthur, 8 on your side.
People who live in a South Tampa neighborhood say the city is not doing enough to prevent flooding.
They say the ditches that should be carrying off the storm water are not being maintained properly. They want the city to do something before another strong storm or even a hurricane hits. News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson live in South Tampa tonight with a look at what the neighborhood believes is this problem.
Good evening, Keith and Stacy. This neighborhood flooded during Hurricane Milton. I was here driving down these streets. It also flooded on Monday after a very brief but intense storm. And some people in this neighborhood are blaming a ditch system that they say is not being maintained by the city. This was the scene in this neighborhood south of Gandy Boulevard on Monday. A brief but intense storm dumped nearly 2 inches of rain in less than 20 minutes. And the streets here flooded. James Adair believes he's found one of the problems.
Right now, these drains or ditches are being impeded by the growth.
Ditches behind his home and others are filled with silt and vegetation.
So along the train track, in both directions, it should be clear canals.
So instead of taking stormwater away from the neighborhood and into the bay, the water pools up in stagnant ponds that are filled with debris and mosquitoes. Adair says the stormwater system isn't being maintained, and so it's not working.
Now, if you go to my neighbors across the street from me, they still have water in their drain.
Meanwhile, the city of Tampa is planning to spend $65 million on a flood improvement project to help the residents of Parkland Estates. But not everyone in the area wants it. A meeting Thursday night erupted into shouting.
This meeting was absolutely ridiculous. It was a 10-minute dog and pony show by the city. They wanted no feedback from any residents or any businesses.
The people of Parkland Estates say the project is needed to help them.
It really needs to be done. It's well overdue.
James Adair wonders what will be done to help his neighborhood.
We need to be able to pay attention and do what we can with what we already have.
A City of Tampa spokesperson told us earlier this week that the city is spending millions of dollars to maintain stormwater systems throughout the city. James Adair and some of his neighbors would just like to see some of that money and attention spent here. Live in Tampa, Jeff Patterson, 8 on your side.